Today on the Makeup Gourmet, it's part 2 of our 2-part episode where I demonstrate a natural, finished, and dramatic look for the 20-something. All of that and more today on the Makeup Gourmet. Hello and welcome to the Makeup Gourmet. I am your host, Chris Scott, and this is the show where I teach you how to cook a look. Now today's episode is called 20-something 3 ways. You probably remember our last 2 episodes was 50-something 3 ways. Well, now we have a nice 20-year-old with us. Please meet Jenna. Hello, Jenna. Last but not least, cheeks. Remember, I always like to do cheeks last. Otherwise, you end up putting on too much cheek color to give you some color on your face. By the time you do your eyes and lips, you figure you've done too much on your cheeks. I'm just going to use one color for this finished look. It's almost like a mauve tone, and I'm going to run the entire length of her cheekbone, okay? Back and forth, and I'm just going to do this until the bone just starts to show up away from her face with a little bit more depth of color. Turn slightly towards me, please. Same thing on this side. Let that brush just dance up and down, nice and smooth, and I will cup it gently up into the temple area just to sort of frame and wrap the eyes. This way, cheek is framed, but we're not distracted by her cheeks. You look fantastic. And there you have it. This is the perfect example of a finished look for the 20-something. And now it's time for dramatic makeup for the 20-something. I've selected the pinup girl look, so you get to see a very stylized look. So first thing we're going to do is dramatic foundation. Now, there's quite a few steps to go into this, so please pay careful attention. First, we're going to heavily contour Jenna's skin. So I'm starting with a primer that's a little bit deeper than her skin tone, and I'm going to work it under her cheekbone, right along here to provide some height. I'm also going to take this primer and run it along her jawline. It's going to push up her jawline and give her a real uplifted look for this beautiful pinup girl look. Turn slightly towards me, please. Wrap that right along the jawline and then right under the cheekbone, just like this. Also, we're going to put it down both sides of the nose. And all these little things we're doing at the end are really going to add up to one gorgeous look that's very polished, very finished. Now, so that was a deeper tone. Now, on the highlight of the face, we're going to use a primer that's very light in color. So we're going to make the parts of her anatomy that are coming forward come even more forward. So along her forehead, down her nose, across her chin, and also right along the shelf of the cheekbone with this primer that's also a highlighter. If you look at the ingredients when you're shopping, you're going to find some form of a trimethicone, dimethicone. Basically, it's a derivative of silicone, and what it does, it acts like a smoother on your skin. It gives almost like a resurfacing of the skin, and that's very important when you want your makeup to last longer, and also when you're trying to go for a dramatic look where you want to look as flawless as possible. All right, now we're going to move into foundation, and I'm going to be using a liquid makeup. I'm going to use a brush, and I'm not going to be shy. Now, this is more of a matte foundation. With this look, we want to go with a matter skin, and you notice I've selected a foundation that's slightly lighter than Jenna's own skin tone. That's the look we want to create. It's a little bit more stylized, so we're going a little bit lighter, working it heavily through the center of the face, and we're going right over the top of all the highlight and all the contour primers we've already done. They're going to work very subtly underneath the appearance of the foundation, just like this. Using, of course, a nylon brush so it doesn't absorb the makeup. This way you're not going to waste any of your makeup, and it's going to blend on smoothly and fully. Now with this look, I think my foundation is going to end up looking lighter than her neck color, but that's always better than it looking darker than the neck color. So if you are going for a stylized look and you do want to go with a lighter skin tone, I think it's okay. Just really blend it well along the fall line of the jaw this way with your brush. That way you get a little bit more of a blended look, but you also achieve that slightly lighter skin tone that you want to get. I'm going to do a little bit more above the eyebrows because the eyebrows in this look have to be very stylized. So I want to make sure the skin above it is very, very smooth. I'm not going to do concealer yet. I'm going to do concealer after the eye makeup. So I know you might think, hey, where's the concealer? But not yet. So we're blending this out. Now to make sure that this stays on really well, I'm going to take a foundation sponge and I'm just going to press and roll onto her skin. All that's doing is flattening and smoothing the makeup down to her skin. When you wear more foundation, take time to do this step. It makes a huge difference in how the makeup wears throughout the rest of the day. Just press it in, and if there's areas where you feel like you need more coverage, put it on the sponge and then stipple it, I like to call, into the skin, just like this. Now, to set, we're going to be using a pressed powder, and I'm going to use the sponge again, and I'm going to put a lot of powder into the sponge itself. Then I'm going to push that powder into my hand, and by doing that, it really forces that powder right into that sponge. Then I'm going to press that powder really firmly into the skin. You can see it build up a little bit on her face. That's fine. What we're trying to create is more of a mattified look to the skin, more of a uniformity, so light reflects super evenly. So press. Really push it in the skin. You feel that, Jenna?
I feel it.
Yeah. How's that feel? Is that okay, the intensity?
Feels amazing.
Feels amazing. Well, also, actually, it's healthy for your skin because you're encouraging circulation by pressing on your skin. So now you have a healthier skin and a more awesome, jamming, flawless-looking skin tone. So I'm going to brush this out, and it turns out the powder I use, I guess it's a mineral powder. It's got a little bit of a shimmer to it, so it added a really pretty glow, which I kind of like. So this is a great example of dramatic foundation for the 20-something.
When we come back, dramatic look eyes for the 20-something. Your access to Makeup Gourmet begins here. After this episode, log on to makeupgourmet.com, where you'll find tips and information to feel and look your very best. All of that and more at makeupgourmet.com.
And now it's time for the dramatic eye for the 20-something. Now, as you recall, on the finished look, we used a color that was a little bit more neutral for her eyebrows. For the dramatic look, we're going to go into a more of an auburn color. So we're going to make a little bit more of a dramatic statement with the color we use on her brow. I'm still going to use a powder, but I'm going to be way more defined with the definition of her brow. I'm definitely going to work along the ridge of the brow. One thing I'm going to do different from the finished look to the dramatic look is I'm going to extend her brow. So I'm applying this powder, and then I'm going to heighten the arch, and then I'm going to pull this out a little bit farther than her natural brow grows. And this is going to make her eye look a little bit bigger, give her a little bit more of an exotic look, which is exactly what we want to do with the pinup look. I'm going to drag this through. This product comes with a little gel, so you can grab a little bit of that gel and brush it through. It does two things. It helps control the hair. It also deepens the intensity of that eyebrow so that it has a little bit more depth, and that looks really nice. I also want the beginning of the brow to have a real sharp point, so I'm going to create like a little slash right there and right there so that the brow looks like it has a real strong starting point, very stylized, just like that. Perfect. All right, now moving on to shadow. We're just going to work with two shades. I might slip a third shade in depending on how all of this goes on. I'm going to take a neutral shimmer, and I'm going to put this over her entire lid. And I'm just going to use a wide brush, brush that smoothly onto the eye. And then I'm going to find myself a very, very small detail brush to work with the crease. I'm going to pick up actually a very dark shade. And let's see how this picks up on Jenna's skin. Close, please. And we're going to give her a very strong contour. You see how I'm lifting up? I really want to be very precise with where this color hits her. And we're going to create one extremely strong contour application right into the crease of her eye. And I'm working back and forth. Now, usually I tell you start from the corner and brush in. But this is a more stylized look. So I'm kind of starting a little bit more in the center of her eye and brushing back and forth to create this stylized contour to her eye. Not so much we're enhancing her natural anatomy as much as we are forcing a perspective onto her eye that gives her eye a slightly more enhanced look. And then open, please. So it's a stronger ridge, and I can definitely go thicker with this on her. Close, please. So I'm going to take this color up higher onto the brow bone, and that's what you should do at home. When you're doing your makeup, after you do a step, my biggest suggestion is always take a step away from the mirror and then look up at yourself and see how you look. Because as long as you stay super close but right by the mirror, you keep seeing the same mistake that you don't like. So take a giant step back, then take a look at your makeup and see what you've done. And that's usually going to tell you if there's something else you need to do. Okay, open please. Good. So there we got that crease popping out of her, and that looks really